Okay, Benny, welcome back. Today you are the main guest of this show.
Well, it's about time.
You're not co-host Ben today. You're guest Ben.
Is that right?
Yeah. What's the difference, do you think, between the two?
Oh, mate, what would be the difference? I think that it'd be about everything else but me.
Yeah. Well, I think the listeners, the watchers, the viewers, the followers, the people, the masses, they need to know a bit about you, don't they? They need to know who you are because they can't find you on social media anymore. You're an enigma. You're a figment of the social media imagination. You've disappeared. How long have you been on social media for?
It was last June, May, June. Yeah. May,
What was
June
your last post?
Man, it wasn't a post, it was a video. Which was most of the time when I didn't really post much, just it was lives. I would have been in Summit walking the dog, doing my thing, try to make an impact as we do. And then boom.
You went. Disappeared.
Come on, man, you had some role in that.
No, I never.
We had a chat and he was in a bit of advice back and I was like, you know what, actually?
I never told you to get off social media, though. Don't let the people think it's my fault.
No, I remember the comment.
I never banned you.
No, it wasn't that. Well, it was more so, it was more a break to realign the message because I've been in this game for a long time doing lives and we've been present on social media. I'm probably the most unorthodox person when it comes down to building a following because I wasn't really asked about building a following. I just had a message that I wanted to put out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were just showing up.
Yeah, and showing up for the right reasons, but if you're going to build an established business and have that type of impact, you know, it needs to be a bit more strategic than what I was doing. I think that's a conversation I've like, look, you're just turning up. You know
Do you think you've changed since then?
Massively.
It's hard for me to interview you a little bit in the sense because I'm just talking to you all the time.
Yeah.
But if we we've spoken in different episodes about your journey from streets to, we've done that. And I'm sure we'll touch upon it throughout all the episodes we do with you because we're going to do much longer ones about you all the time. But put that aside a minute.
Yeah.
Because I'm interviewing you, so I get to ask the questions. The last year of your life, I think you've changed a lot.
I've probably experienced, well, you have them phases, don't you? Because you can look back and think, that was that moment again when there was massive growth. And what's that scale called where you just plough for a bit and then it's the hockey stick, bang. What's that scale called again? Is it for progress where it's just like, I can't remember, it'll come to me in a minute. But you have them moments you're in the game for a long time and then boom. You know, you make that progress. And I've been through that phase by chance, really. And I've definitely grown in every area of my life. But more so, I think where I've grown the most is making best use of my time. Because I was an all or nothing guy. You know what I mean? I drag everybody and myself to the finish line. And I'm fundamentally, I was coming at the cost of me. Putting too higher expectation on my shit. But coming off social media was to get a little minute. Try and refocus and realign my message, what really I'm on social media for. Started as a blag, as a front. Turned out something I was good at and I loved. But then life me.
Was that your mum as well that made you get off there?
Remember, I'm coming off social media because for a long time being in that space, it's like, got to keep showing up, got to keep giving value, which is no problem for me, you know? But I'd also I created a presence on social media. It was just some guy that's going to give sound advice out. I become people's plaster. Become someone that would just come on social media to listen to me shit, to think that's what they needed to make them feel better. And really, that ain't going to do shit. Me showing up a little bit here, giving a bit of advice, because we know what makes a difference in the change. You know, it's the never-ending story of trying to improve yourself and learning and making mistakes and failing and applying skills and techniques and all this stuff that we talk about. But fundamentally, I realised I was doing people a disservice in thinking that me just showing up and giving a bit of advice, a bit of an insight, real talk as I used to call it. And real talk come from because people used to say, the feedback I used to get off people is, man, you're so real. You're real as fuck.
Do you think I was just thinking about when you were talking, and I was kind of remembering our conversation you had when you're like, I'm fucking coming off here. I remember saying to you, it's all become a bit cheerleady, innit?
Cheerleading, yeah.
It all become a bit cheerleady for you, didn't it?
People would love to cheer but do fuck all.
I also
I get so much, I love it, and then do fuck all. And then go on.
I also think you just become a bit frustrated from the outside and a bit exhausted by it, which I can relate to because sometimes you do that. You know, when we're running all the 5 days and stuff, sometimes you can go flipping out, I'm a bit frustrated. I'm a bit exhausted from the constant giving.
Yeah,
it does come at a cost. Even if you're looking after yourself and you're constantly out there giving, it's not easy. I know people think it's just rocking up and doing a video now and again, but it's not, is it? It's all the stuff around that.
And and also there was other factors in play. There was, I was nobody at the time, but I was very outspoken with certain things around COVID and what was going on. And I had this. I was all right giving the advice, the sound advice that was within the realm of the things that have changed my life, right? Which was big for me, innit? Like, look, first one is you got to take responsibility for your well-being.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna sit here and be a cheerleader to everyone playing the victim. And I think the secret, some of the downsides of being a coach is that people just want to offload. Yeah, which I'm all day for. You want to chat, let's have a chat. But we've got to talk about solutions at some point. We've got to talk about moving forward. You can't sit at my table getting out the violin, playing the victim, because I'm doing you a disservice because this shit don't change the needle. Okay, now we know where we're at. Let's play the victim. But from here, where do we go? Same time round, victim, get on the 5 day. We've got free resource. We've got this. No one wanted to move forward with the needle. I took responsibility for that. But when COVID hit, I felt a moral duty to play my part in this, right? Help people through stressful times, talk about things that I knew that worked, vitamin D. Hey, let's talk about making sure that you're looking after yourself if there is a threat, giving my skills and advice and support. And I was feeling this suppression, right? I'm getting told my pulse are going to get took down. I'm violating stuff. I'm like, what the fuck?
It was a weird time.
Weird time, right? And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I'm on a platform here trying to speak my truth with the intention trying to help people. I ain't trying to convince anybody. I'm like, just take this into consideration, right? And I lead by example as always. So I'm out running with the kids every day. We're trying to be as healthy as we can. I'm trying to people to show how to adjust and adapt with what they've got. If you can't do this, then don't think you're just restricted. You have other options, and all this type of stuff. And I just kept feeling this suppression of I'm wrong. Right? And because you're not an authority, because you're not got some fucking name before your name or some title, that you are not, you don't have no right to be talking. And this is on my platform. Only what we say is the truth. And I could feel this shadow coming on, right? And then I'm getting it from the community level. And at that point, I'm saying, listen, I ain't saying I know what's right or wrong here. The issue that I've got here is that I'm asking questions and I ain't getting answers. I'm being told I'm anti this, I'm pro this, you're killing grandma, you're doing this. And I'm looking at my list of fucking where I've come from. I know the tone of corruption. I know that I've seen a lot of death and mass destruction. I'm looking thinking, man, I've transformed lives left, right and centre. Now all of a sudden I'm not fucking relevant.
You didn't see, you didn't see, I suppose what you didn't see. I suppose you saw a lot of correlations, didn't you, between what was going on, and what
and remember, I'm still not trying to impose that I'm the extreme of the other side. I'm trying to be dead centre. I'm like, I understand what's going on, but you've got to take these factors into place. I'm seeing shit in the news that was completely irrelevant. It was putting nothing but fear and scaremonger into people's hearts. If anything, you should have people like us, not saying just me, but people in there saying, hey, you're probably these are some techniques you can do if you're being fearful right now, right? If you're scared, if you're stressed out, if you're worried about the future, if you're worried about the kids. And because this wasn't getting addressed, and because this wasn't getting spoken about, I am no stranger to conflict. And the triggering things that they're playing out scenario of where I've been in my life were going, no, you stand your ground here, son. You do not back up. Because I was, when I was in the school speaking to him and everyone was just in an echo chamber, and I'm like, you're not making sense. I'm asking questions and you ain't giving me factual stuff. If anything, you're now trying to manipulate an ideology into me that I'm wrong. So therefore I'm irrelevant in this situation. But I have a moral duty as a parent, as a dad, to actually question what's going on.
Did you feel like you weren't being heard for a bit?
Well, not being heard. I felt like I was being oppressed in a way that I was being... My My character was being destroyed in aid to make other people believe something else. You with me? I was definitely being heard, but it was being used against me in a way that I was made to think I was fucking stupid. And the reason why this is important is that then I had to question my worldview because it completely changed. Then I'm also backing up. You know, if I'm coming to you as an authority, which now we understand actually authorities were very linked to the money and the questions that were asked around that, I wasn't coming there saying that they were wrong. I'm actually asking very valid questions from every authority possible. And the fact that they couldn't answer me, and the only way they could, yet they're hearing me, but the only answer they've got from me is try to belittle my character in a way of saying he's a fucking madman and anti-pro and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
That is when I went, 1 minute.
That was an easy...
I need to back up here.
That was an easy get out for
And
that,
I also felt I started to be a bit of a tugboat, because then I was trying to convince people, hey, if you want to take this experimental shit, no problem. You know, if you think that's the best decision for you, I'm absolutely fine with that. But please just ask the right questions. Do not, you know, I'm asking people, why are you taking that one? I'm never going to go on holiday again. Fucking really? But you're standing over here telling me I'm the fucking bad guy, I'm going to kill grandma because I'm not doing something that's not congruent with my values.
I remember the kill grandma thing.
You remember this shit?
Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking about things happening, but I had to get still enough to question my own bias. Am I getting this wrong? Wait a minute. Maybe I've got this wrong. So let's inquire, which I did. Then obviously we get the news. Before all this happened, right, when it first kicked off, in my heart, something didn't feel right. You know, you can talk about energy, which I like to say vibration, frequency. But when people used to say to me, Ben, you're so real when you talk, right? And I used to think about that a lot. And I used to take great pride in thinking it was real. But it wasn't what I was saying was real. It was the tone that I was saying it. You could tell I would speak from the heart,
Yeah,
right?
you meant
I would
what
speak
you were
from it.
saying.
Yeah, I meant there was a tone in there that people would register from the heart. Now I'm listening to all these people that don't look like, you know, they've got a touch of health in him. And I'm like, their tone does not register with me. Like, this doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Like, in my heart, I can feel it. My mind's fighting with it, but my heart can feel it. And then mum, you know, my mum is, I would say I got the gift of her heart. You know, like, she can sense shit, you know? And she said, Ben, something don't feel right. I don't trust these fuckers. And I was like, I feel it, ma. You know, so then I had this, you know, with all these things coming into play, I was like, especially being a parent and having a message, and all of a sudden your own immune system doesn't make sense, and we need to listen to people that have, you know, fucking the biggest federal crimes and fines ever in humanity, and after people listen to people I don't even trust or like, I don't even know. It was a very weird moment, and everyone have their own experience and all that. But this happens at the point of coming on social media. Then I'm questioning my own bias. Then the whole worldview completely changes. Then I'm like, what is my mission? Because this is completely changing now from what I'm here to do.
And then your mum was ill.
Then my mum gets ill, you know. Then, you know, obviously the doctors say, hey, thank you, but there's nothing we can do. Go home on minimum wage, see how well you can do. But this is where things kick into place, right? Because I am not against modern medicine in any way.
That's beneficial. in many
Massively.
ways. Yeah.
There is certain things that my mum's taking from modern day medicine that are fundamentally having a massive impact on helping her. Yeah. But we've also got to understand there's also a consequence of these things. And there isn't just one way to deal with one situation. And there's always alternative methods, right? And lucky enough, this is where everything starts piecing together. Through me being sick, it goes right back to the first time I had ever issue with my mental health. We'd had an issue in a big fight broke out in the middle of the city centre. I think I said this on a previous podcast. We ended up fighting with this big firm from London. They bumped into the wrong guys. They were looking for trouble. They found trouble, and you know they got hurt. But it could have gone either way, because there's video footage outside. This fella's trying to drive, you know, a big blade through my chest. And lucky enough, I kept him off. But there was a pressure at that time for a young man. Then I was on the run a little bit, and things were happening. My grandma had got mugged. There was this build-up of just paper cut after paper cut after paper cut. I supposedly have this mental breakdown. And the doctor says, you got a chemical imbalance. You got to take this shit.
I hope he said it like that.
Well, that's how I heard it.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, I got chemical imbalance. But at the same time, the girlfriend that was seeing at the time was a trainee psychologist, or I can't remember, she was into something like that. She says, you probably need to go and see a counsellor. And for a kid from the streets, going to speak to someone about your problems was like the code, you know, that was a rule that you don't do. She convinced me anyway, and we, you know, I spoke to this counsellor, and I remember in the first meeting, she was like, I am not qualified for this level of story and what's going on. I think you need to speak to someone else. But she said something that day about the fight or flight system. And I was like, man, I could feel that was the bigger issue that I had, not some chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
I'd also had my jaw broke as a young man. And, it was my cheekbone. I'm walking home one time. The streets were hostile them days. I was with my mate, was about 17 years old. My mate was an absolute unit. I'm walking with a girl. I see this car drive past, and we was always on our pins them days because shit was popping off left, right, and centre. I see this car. I see it's full. They're all pointing a finger at me. I thought, oh, here we go. So I said to the girl at the time, you keep walking. Whatever happens here, don't come back. Don't even look back. And this car comes round the car park at the pub that I've always grew up in, right slap bang in the middle alongside it. And I see these guys getting out of the car, and I thought, fuck it, here it goes. So I look back at my mate and say, you ready, mate? And he turns around, and my big old mate, who's a unit, is running down the road, right? And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. So I thought, we're having it. But every time I'm looking away, these fellas are getting closer. And then now I'm seeing the girl walking back. She's panicking now, I'm on my own. As I turn around, now they're all in my face, right? They're lidded up, balaclava.
Lidded up?
Yeah, they've got the lids on. And as I look away and come back, I just get striked in the face. But I thought I got punched. And I remember it felt like my whole face had exploded, like it was this tingling. And I looked back and I said to her, run. And this rage come out of me, and they must have thought, you know, well, how's this guy even standing? And all I can remember is that these guys are running for their life while I'm running after him, right? They jumped in the car. It was a 2-seater car. I remember the driver is driving with the guy's half body in the car with his legs hanging out because they know I'm ready to tip this car over. But
So what happened to the jaw?
The point being is that they actually hit me with an object. They blitzed me cheek. And I had to go 3 times until he told me that I had a broken cheekbone. The same time I went with a broken jaw, the doctor's telling me, Ben, your jaw's fine. Like, mate, I can't open the fucking jaw.
Fucking Kanye West.
So the point I'm making is that I always questioned that they could get shit wrong.
Right.
The human. There's an error for mistake.
Yeah.
So it goes back to this point thinking, hey, I'm talking about what feels right to me, and people can make mistakes. So no one is flawless, right?
So adding all that up then, the COVID, a few years in there, you're like, man, and then you're like, maybe I'm being a cheerleader. Maybe it's a bit cheerleading.
Questioning
I'm not making the impact I want. I don't think I'm getting across. So you come off media, your mum's ill, obviously still.
Fighting on.
Yeah, fighting on, doing her thing. And so when you come back on media, which you will, surely, if you're going to be wanting to make an impact.
Of course.
You know. What's the one difference that people might see in you if they were there before? Well, what do you think you've changed in you?
Well, this is where it comes. So all this build up in terms of the reason why I've grown is the experience that I've had to deal with. You know, there's times in your life, good and bad, that you're only, I think, able to sharpen certain swords
through those experiences.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I think what would change now is that I would be speaking in my lane, because I think at the end of being on social media, I was thinking too much of what I should and shouldn't be saying.
Yeah. I think that's when you're in trouble.
I was trying to manipulate, you know, even though it is about them and less about me, the feeding of the content was, I was trying to meet the conversation in people's head, not even knowing, right?
And consuming a lot. So like, this, maybe you should do that. Maybe we should be doing that. Maybe posts have to look like this.
Exactly.
Like consuming until the point where you're like not being yourself.
So now I've been able to have the experience and have that wisdom of what these skills really mean. You know, like I'm moving away from just the responsibility of taking one's well-being, understanding the challenges, understanding the obstacles. You know, I've really lent into being, you know, grit and resilient and disciplined and time management and being scheduled and being elite and really pushing yourself beyond the realm that looking back now, I wasn't even testing the waters. up until then. And it's been one hell of a ride up until that point. So I think the message will be, very, very more clear and concise on the things or the gap in between where people are and where they want to be.
Yeah. What about you as a person now? What do you think's changed in you?
I think my belief in my ability has never been at this height. And I feel I have nothing to prove. Like, I know where I'm at. I know what I'm capable of. I know what works. I know what doesn't. And I've actually, instead of thinking that I was in this industry, I think a lot of it was maybe, I wouldn't say ego, but for a long time this was a front, right? Now I'm serious about it. I'm a businessman. I got, other ventures, other businesses. And I think the frustration was as well is that I was doing this and it wasn't much of an income financially interested in it. But now it's like, actually, this is going to become a real brand, a real business that makes an impact. And I've said it before that I'll be able to measure that metric will be the rise in my balance in the rise of people that we're impacting. So I think you get wiser and a lot stronger through these experiences, and to be able to now put that into a message at a time now where I think people need it the most is the experience I've needed to be a lot more clear on the message than I've ever been before.
I think, who can't relate to going through tough times the last few years? Most people on the planet have going to been through something where it's like, man.
And I think
it's a lot of modern day life is, like we've always said, speeding up quite a lot, isn't it? A lot of demands on a lot of people, and I think a lot of us are just getting through life with our head above water.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of the general public.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it just takes that little nudge, that little knock, and it's like, I'm drowning. Yeah, and I think that more than ever, I think I'd love to, I was thinking about this. I think I've shared this before, I don't know, but in the gym, when I was younger, you'd be one of the only young people in the gym. But now I go to the gym's full of youngsters, training properly, getting health, trying to look good, whatever it is. Like, it's now much more acceptable to have a personal trainer, to do stuff. People just do that. That used to be something rich people did back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's like, no, we are like, people are like, I've got to look after myself. I want to feel good.
Yeah.
I hope in 20 years' time, mentally, people are like, no, I need to be looking after myself. Because it's still in its infancy, I think. We're still in the old ways of talk therapy and things like that, which are very useful. But I think it's in 20 years' time, I think you're going to see a big shift where people are like, no, I need to be doing stuff to look after myself.
And that will be the main source of my message, because it's all, what I've seen is, our sovereignty be taken over. People think they have a bigger right to talk about our future and what we should and shouldn't be doing. It's an unprecedented time ever that's happening. And I really stand for the opposite. Hey, forget what's going on in the world. What's happening in your world?
Yeah, what's actually going on?
What's really going on in your world? What are you missing? Where's the support? What skills do you need?
I think you've become more empathetic the last year as well.
Yeah. Well, why would you say that?
I don't know. I just see a shift in you. There's a shift, not a softness, but maybe it's a confidence, but kind of a little less edge, but in a nice way. Not that it was bad, but it kind of an empathy for like, shit, people are struggling.
Yeah.
As opposed to like maybe feeling like you had to tug them along.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, big time. And I can agree with that.
But has that come through your own struggle though?
Yeah.
This is a shift I've seen. Your delivery is improved without really improving your delivery. If that...
Well, that's the other thing. Like, as a coach, massively progressed. So nothing's been lagged behind just because I've not been on social media in terms of... I understood actually, I can still have a massive... Because I'm more about a community level right now. This whole thing, it needs to take on the world, help everybody, all that fucking bravado that comes with it all. But you're right, and I think because of the empathy, the greater understanding, compassion to a degree has come because I'm like, I'm sick of treating the symptoms and not the fucking cause. Let's get straight to the point. Why are we having this discussion about X and Z when this is the discussion that we need to be having? You know what I mean? The reason why the world is in a bad state, we all actually have a responsibility in the state of the world's in. You know, if we can change, or people are willing to change, because that's the other thing as well, is the teachability, right? In this game, you really have to have the teachability of the willingness to learn, the willingness to change, the willingness to accept right now. You know, and to think also, being a dad looking at my kids and thinking, the shit that they're going through right now, the stuff that's coming through the schools and all this type of stuff, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I couldn't look and go, I did my very best.
I don't think you like the general message, dear. If you know what I mean, like when I think that's where we're similar. It's like, for example, kids. It's like, well, the message they get a lot is one I'm not really happy with in a lot of ways.
100%.
You're like, nah, it's not really the kind of way I would want you to go about things, or it's not sort of the information I want being fed into the people
I was
I'm
ignorant
responsible
inside,
for.
right? That how much of the influence of the system we live in really impacts life. For a long time, never voted in my life.
No, I've
Never voted in my life. Well, you know, if you want to vote, that's fine. But my ignorance come from, them people don't influence my world. Why should I give a shit, right? And you say actually politics finds you, but now you've shed the light on the real impact these people will have. You know, I said from the beginning, these lockdown will do way more damage than COVID ever would. You know, you're a lunatic. Look at it now. Look at the rise in obesity. Look at the rise in cancers. Look at the rise in diabetes. Look at the rise in heart disease. Look at the rise in depression, the mental health. Yeah. So this is where the message now means something, rather than this personal development industry. Oh, you got to be positive and all that shit. That's dead. That's industry. That is a synthetic message that I'm hoping to impact in a way of giving the real skills and the real message and addressing the real issues in society, rather than trying to fucking outsource all your well-being, your future, your thinking, your decision-making, your life to people who just don't give a fuck. And whether that, you know, what I've understood is this has always happened in life. It's just our turn, right? It's nothing special. The circumstances might be different. There's always been fight between good and evil. I think we need to accept that humanity is a side of being a piece of shit. You know, understand that now corporations have way more influence and way more. You think about it, Bill Gates has more money than our entire country. We're 4 trillion in debt. This is what's been awakening me. Can I change that? No. But here's where the secret is for me. There isn't a problem to fix, because that system is running 100% how it's intended to run. But what there is, Simon, what me and you stand for is an alternative. An alternative method. I couldn't give a shit about luxury, mate, if it means I have a greater connection with my kids. I'd never go on holiday again if I have to take shit that I don't agree with. I'll find gems in this country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, as they say, if your values don't cost you something, they're probably not your values.
Yeah.
Back, you know, because eventually you have to stand for them, and that comes at the cost of other things, doesn't
Which
it?
I've done and tried and tested, you know. And there's a lot of people coming to me now saying, Ben, I really bit mission, you know, I should have listened to you from the beginning. I had it wrong. I'm sorry to say this. And I said, honestly, you know, you really don't need to apologise, because I won't come in here to convince you. I was really just standing in my lane, speaking my truth, trying to adhere to my values. I'm always trying to be mindful of, you know, am I just leading into my own bias? But I think the message of people who actually see this for what it is, really want to make a difference. Try and make people aware of maybe the knowledge, the information, parts of education that they're aware of. You know, if this wisdom dies with us, ironically, the wisdom on tap, I don't think we've done, you know, our life a disservice.
If you go back to social media, do you miss anything?
Nah,
Do you go on social media?
Not really, and I'm really struggling.
Or do you just not go on to... Do you go on and consume, or do you...
Now and again, like if someone sends me something from... I think what I had to do in terms of changing my worldview, I needed to understand the thing, well, to put it in this context, the enemy, right? I need to go, wait one sec, let me fucking understand how they think. It's something I've done as a kid growing up in the street. I didn't think like me. I've tried to think like the police, or think like the person we had trouble with, or think like the teacher, and just put myself in that perspective. Looking back now, I've just done that naturally. Now it's more skillful, you know?
I bet you had a lot less stress compared to somebody on social media all the time, though, because there's that stupid meme in there. It's like, you know, there's some poor bloke out there in the world sat next to a river in the middle of nowhere with no access to a phone, unaware of all the things he should be worried about. Like,
Yeah.
because like, if you're not connected to social media, then all that's informing you about life is in your life, right? Because you're not how
Yeah,
often is it
yeah.
like, oh, look at this, look at that, like, oh, look what's going on here. If you didn't know about it,
Yeah.
would it be adding to your...
But I was never...
It's like what you don't know, don't hurt you, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that's a great point. And to be fair, especially the last couple of years, I've been a creator, not just a consumer. I'm not really a guy that consumes a lot from socials. Go on there, do my thing, interact with the people I'm interacting. You know, if there was anything I was guilty of was wanting to see how well me posted or who's saying something, or if it got likes or if it shares. I think that's natural for everyone at the beginning. It was realised like I couldn't give a shit. Usually the message that was real.
What would you miss from social media?
I haven't missed anything, mate. If anything, I've had more freedom and time. But going back to it, you know, when I make my resurrection known, there's going to be, because here's something that concerned me a little bit. I would have strangers coming up, yeah, which is a nice thing in a way. Ben, man, yo, can I get a picture? Mate, that message, mate, you're a guy, you're a real guy. Only recently I was at one of my friends' weddings, and this Scouse fella come up going, I love your videos, mate. Where have you been and all this type of stuff. And it's really nice that, and I don't take it for granted. But then one time there was a dude that seen my son.
Yeah,
and
you
seen
said
Cairo,
recognised him, yeah.
seeing him and was like, where's your dad? Now, I was very controversial in my message, and when I was driving on, I was thinking, I'll probably put you in a bit of danger there, mate, not knowing, you know. I'm just thinking outside the box, not that it was a major concern, but one of the possibilities. So I was big on lifestyle, right? Showing me the person who I am, that's gone. There's no more lifestyle, mate. You know, it's the message and nothing but the message.
Yeah.
And there will be no personal Facebook page in terms of content. It's all going to be, it's going to be a page, you know. And I'm on there for the right reasons, and I'll keep it at that. And that's where I think my time will better be used, because I'd say me and you have a very well-trained attention. But I tell you, man, you can end up in that scroll hole real quick.
Oh, yeah,
and that is what I
definitely.
don't miss, is actually the fight of going, shit, I'm in the scroll hole, let me get out of here.
Yeah, it's easy done. It's easy. And also when you're bored, when you just got nothing to do.
Yeah.
I was watching, people on the train platform today, just, when no one's really not listening, because you can just see this swipe, can't you?
Yeah.
And then you watch them, phone in a pocket. You're like, mate, there's nothing on there new,
No.
like, you know what I mean?
No.
It's just you can't sit there for 5 minutes and just go, I wonder what's around me. Like, maybe I'll say hello to that
Times
person
are
now.
changing like that, ain't they? And that's an heartbreaking thing. And sometimes I think when I got out of jail and people say, what was your plan? I say, mate, I didn't even know my plan. This, I'll tell you right now, I just had faith. I just had a real faith and desire that it would be a better way. And I feel like I'm back there now. I don't know how, but I just know it's going to happen.
Well, that's the least important bit.
Yeah, it is no like I need
If
to
you
be
knew
doing
how,
it.
you'd already be. It wouldn't be a
It's like-
change.
So I think that tone is going to be a lot more stronger. I think just through this last year, what I've learned and that experience and the skills it's sharpened and the skills it's brought and the skills I've let go of and the habits I've let go of and like I just feel a lot more wiser and a lot more knowledgeable in the real issues that are not getting addressed. And I think bringing that message to the front line is exactly what people are wanting without knowing.
What's one thing you think you'll talk about a lot? One sentence. What's one thing you think needs talking about a lot to impact somebody like Mark, me, just the 50 people out there in the street, like you think, well, there's something that you need to hear.
Yeah, and I think it would be taking full responsibility for your world and your well-being. That's a bit cliche and we cover it all the time, but let's break that down. Like, we are not designed to be massively overweight. We are not designed to be living life in pain. We are not designed to be living life with no connection with ourselves. Living in a rat race, stuck, overwhelmed, tired, low energy. I mean, it's no coincidence we've got fucking coffee houses everywhere, like the crack houses on every corner. So, I mean, you cannot change the world without changing oneself, right? And this is littered out through history. And although it's like, the self-care, you got to go gym and all, it's more of a complex issue than just that.
Everyone goes through those stages, though.
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah. But health and well, like the things that you've taught, a lot of the high performance stuff that you've taught me, I go, I fucking already knew this, mate. I cannot, actually when I track my record, I'm like, I've been implementing this stuff. There's a difference in when you play a position and when you know the position. Now it's a lot more skillful, a lot more efficient, right? But I think we have been indoctrinated away and conditioned that our life doesn't matter. We have become the product that only benefit a certain amount. And it's reclaiming that back. Not to be better than them or take away that, because if that's their mission, that's fine. If people want to buy into it, that's good. But I really want to bring people back to center where they go, how do you want to live this life?
Yeah, I think that's crucial.
Like, forget all the noise. Let's get still enough that you can listen to yourself, because that's the game that people are missing. We become so consumed from external forces.
Yeah, you just get swept away in it. Just swept away.
And this has only happened in the last, 100 years, Si? Come on. Like it.
Well, I don't know, but I think this even the last 10 years of my life, you think there's this element where you get swept away. I think the impact of social media has made a huge difference, is in what you get swept away in.
Yeah,
I think
that's a great point.
I don't know, before social media, when your world was much smaller, was there so much, did people have so much access to your thinking, if you know what I mean? Like I can impact so many people now through a post or a video. But then you think, so if we're putting posts and videos out on social media, so is another flipping billion people, and all the people you follow. And so you're getting all these bombarded. And I think just your life, people go to work, and you got to pay the bills, and you get home and you do this, you do that. It's just swept up in this momentum, aren't we? We just talked about it previously. Like a lot of ants, you never really get your head up and think, where am I traveling? Like, maybe we sometimes don't think we can do that. Maybe, like you said, we forget that actually I do have some choice in how my life goes. But you've got to get your head you got to get your head up, haven't you? And have a look around sometimes to think, where am I going?
Well,
is that really what I think?
Well, I think that's where we play a key role in this, right? Do you know?
Like you said, we were talking
about, we discussed on previous podcasts, I touched on alcoholism. And you're saying, actually, you want to see the impacts of being on your fucking kids being on the phone late at night is having the impacts on them.
Yeah.
Look at, we have never, ever had this amount of processed food in our diets. We have never, ever had this level of consumption of sugar in our diets. All the money that goes into curing cancer, tell me how much money goes into prevention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying about being a consumer. I'm not even saying they're wrong or right, but as soon as people start living a lot more meaningful and purposeful, congruent with their own values, actually giving people the power and going back, because what's got me through these tough times is really believing in myself and not just depending on other people. And actually pushing myself to a level of ability that has then given me an access to a level of going, man, what am I really capable of, especially if it's fine-tuned. You ain't special, I ain't special, we're not superhuman anyway, but I'll tell you what we are doing, we're doing superhuman shit. And when I look at it through this is really where I feel, when I think like that, when I feel like that, when I speak like that, when I think the mammoth task that we've got ahead of us, when I see people like my mum, goodwill people, salt of the earth people who have been rinsed, trading time for money that was never of value. You think about it, time is the most priceless asset and we give it away for £12 an hour.
Has your mum being ill made you think a lot more about your life?
Well, obviously, granted, because, I think you got to take the lessons from this and the wins, this pain. And sometimes, I won't even say it was pain. It was just sometimes a cocktail of emotions that made me go, this was fucking preventable, man.
Yeah, I think pain gets you to pay attention.
Yeah, it's 100%. It was the frustration of going, Susie dying at 48 because she's overweight, preventable. This kid dying at 10 years old because it's preventable. This person committing suicide, preventable. This person, they're dying of heart disease, to preventable. You with me? So that's where the message now is preventing this shit. Yeah, I get where you're at, but health. This is that live that I did on last week. Come from that type of pain. I actually said before I go into this session, this is gonna be some tough love. But before I do, let me show you a picture of me, 17 stone, so you can get an understanding that what I'm actually talking about is experience.
Yeah, you're not just lecturing
Yeah,
people.
I am sick of hearing people who have no lived experience. Do not go into the corners of the world that they think don't exist. Try and put on this fucking parade that we've got everyone's best intention, leading into that as if that's the direction that everyone wants to go, and sacrificing your own potential and your life, following a fucking road that was never designed for you. Why me and you, the way we are, we didn't listen to the, hey, you got to go on this systematic structure of go school, fair enough, go college, fair enough, go uni, fair enough, get a decent job, get a marriage, get a fucking house, have a few kids, and then, oh shit, what do we do now? Maybe you want to make it to retirement if you're fucking lucky. If that's for you, great. But me, you think outside the box. Nah, I don't really fit with me, that, pal. Well, I'm going to create a road for myself, and there's no path that's laid on that. Now, we ain't special to have the opportunity. We've actually just seen the opportunity and gone for it.
Yeah, I think it's
and
just
bringing that
tuning
awareness to
into
society, from a younger age. You know, my son having this situation of saying, hey, we must be kind. We're going to have a kind conversation. What do you think about little Timmy coming home and saying he wants to be a girl? My son says, absolutely not. Hey, 1 minute, all of a sudden you're a bad person. You're a homophobic. Get out the class. Headmaster, come and pick him up. You're going to give him detention. I'm looking at that going, are you fucking for real? Is this the conversation we're having for our youth?
Yeah.
What you know, we're talking about health measures through all this situation. You tell me where any investment has come into improving the health of the UK nation.
Well, going back to your previous statement quickly, I think the best way to handle that conversation would be, right, okay, why do you think that?
Well, that's how they should have
Let's
handled
have a
it.
conversation
But there's an
about
ideology coming into these schools now. A massive rise. This is, a massive rise in this ideology, which is clearly an environmental trigger. Yeah. But the thing is with my son, that was the inquiry. Okay, I get that. Let's open to debate. Let's understand his logic. Let's understand your reasons. For one, he's not homophobic. That's completely wrong. And actually, when I challenged the teacher with this, I realised she was in an echo chamber and she had a mile wide and a fucking inch deep. And when I actually said to her, here's some of the stats, here's some of this, where do you think this comes from? Going back to the message, these are the things that I want to address to elaborate so people get both sides of the information that they can make an informed decision, because we're being coerced and forced into a way that now, for instance, you can't tell someone that they're overweight. That's fat shaming. Forget their feelings about what I'm saying about them being... I know what it's like to be overweight, but let me tell you their quality of life, the risk of cancer, the risk of diabetes, the strain in the NHS, the impact it'll have on their kids' lives, the impact and the actual possibility of their kids following the same suit. The apple don't fall far from the tree. You want to stand there, speak to me about, we can't hurt them feelings and not address the real facts and issues. We're in a circus, man. You know what I mean?
Well, where does it come? Where do you, being nice, there's a time to be nice. There's a time to be good, of course. But obviously, there's a time to do what's best as well, isn't there, for the individual? And I talk about this all the time. We spoke about it many times. If you take the being overweight thing, being obese, it's like, well, it kind of hurts their feelings but there's a difference in calling someone out and being horrible about it and actually maybe saying, this is the reality and, I'm trying to help you with it, isn't there?
But that's a beautiful point. But the point that I've been trying to make is you can't even address it with that manner because it's straight away labelled X, Y, and Z. This is not my vision from the beginning. We got into this, hey, I've been a personal trainer, I was changing people's lives. Great. All of a sudden we realise, actually, I still feel like shit. The people who I'm training still feel like shit because physically they've changed, but we've not improved mental and emotional well-being to a degree, right? We may have overlapping factors like, hey, now you're in better shape, probably got better energy, probably thinking a bit clearer, making better decisions. But fundamentally, some deep-rooted shit here that the gym is just not going to, deal with. Like saying, hey, I'm just going to meditate to get a six-pack, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then we get into this area of going, I need to be able to train a mind like I train a body. Put me and you in a quest, fundamentally brought us together. You ahead of your game and never seen anyone, I would say, in my network so advanced as you. I've always said it, mate. You're ahead of the game, right? And the way you spoke and the way you delivered and the things that you taught me actually helped me find my next journey. Yeah. And now you couple all that together on the recent events, what's just happened with COVID and everything we just discussed with, and then leading into then, you know, the biggest, probably the biggest obstacle we would ever deal with in our lifetime, what we went through there, especially when, you know, we were subjected to the shit we were subjected to, then to deal with
such
your
a
mum.
weird time when you look back.
Well, look at it from my lens now. I didn't adhere to any rule, you know that, right? And that's not because I was being ignorant. That's because in terms of me not being able to give anything away for it to be easier for me, I felt like I was an hypocrite. You understand? I'm not going to go, oh, right, son, yeah, you need to fight, stand up for yourself, or on one side of it go, well, well, this is an issue with me. My side, I have such strong values. I'm not just going to drop them values and standards just because it's my mum. So I had to hold that daily and didn't walk in any supermarket with a mask. My kids were never masked. You know, I was big on looking after yourself, high vitamin D, all the stuff that I was like, look, this is what fits my criteria in dealing with this world problem. The fact that it just got, the discrimination other people might have been through themselves. I know a lot of people was like, Ben, I just couldn't deal with, I didn't want to do it, but I just couldn't deal with the discrimination, with being outside, I get all that, right?
Yeah, the conflict, dealing with the conflict of the decisions and the choices.
Exactly. So this is where my own bias comes out of it and going, I was able to navigate that. And they're the things I want to speak about. Not that I'm any more special than anybody else, but look, these are the things, these are the values, these are the habits. This is
you've sharpened what you're about.
Like, because of that weight that we lifted. And that's why now when, you say when I'm coaching, which we don't discuss them things because that's not what we're trying to address, but the fact that I can be way more efficient and a way more real, if you want to use that, because of them experiences. This is what I'm trying to embed or waking up in people in their potential of going, look what you're really capable of. Because even getting through them hard times, whether you did it right or wrong, look what you actually got through. When we see a lot of people struggling, I'm like, yeah, it's all right, you struggled for a long time, you feel a bad way about it, but look how well you've done even when you were struggling.
Yeah, people are, the human being is extremely
where's
resilient.
That message gone?
Yeah.
That we are resilient as fuck.
Yeah, we tend to be kind of in a way conditioned that we need all these external things to...
And we're dependent on this and dependent on that. And that's, I don't want to fix that problem. So that's not hard to fix. I want to just show an alternative. The alternative that worked for me, if you break me down and say, all right, yeah, I get it, you've done well, but can you show me the structure that, like a business? Yeah, I have a great business. Can we buy your system? No, you can't, because it's just a personality talking out of his ass. I don't want to be the person, I want to be able to come and go, what's your systems? What's your structures? Hey, how do you deal with adversity, obstacles? How do you stand? Now I understand what Rosa Parks feels like, or all these people have just gone, I stood up and studied my truth, not to manipulate anyone else, but a standard of life that I want to live, and ain't nothing going to get in the way of that. Isn't that appealing?
Yeah,
Shouldn't this be the message we're giving the kids?
So when are you going to come back on social media?
Well, the fact is, we're already doing this. This is where we're at now, podcasting. This has probably been the best live I could ever do, because this is now the change, innit? You was like, look, we're going to get into podcasting, so that's where we need to be. I've been doing this at a community level, Si. This is where it all happens for me. We're now going to be working with the Violent Reduction Unit. We're getting back in schools. We're helping with knife crime. We're helping with all this type of stuff, because that's why I am best on the front line. That's why I operate. And I don't just want to be in social media. If you said, Ben, you have a bigger impact on the community level, because I know that can impact more communities.
Well, how do you measure impact? There's
Yeah, that's a bit cliche at times.
Well, what I mean is if you had a quality impact on 20 people in your life, as opposed to like kind of you at a touch point with 20 million, I think sometimes you'd go for depth of impact, wouldn't you?
Well, I'd use me and you as an example. Look at the lives. One life has changed. We got an opportunity to work in a gym from a jail. 99% of them failed. Me and you've been in a room saying 1% of you in here will do actually what we do. Well, actually, it's probably 2% because me and you did something. But the reality is, that is the impact we can have. One person, and everyone can do that. How many people do we coach and then they go, fucking hell, all of a sudden my fucking kids are behaving better. And it's the first thing I say, innit? Listen, when you get better, everything else will. And that's really the message coming back and going, no.
Even if you impact someone else, not just by making, say you do something, you turn your shit around and you turn your life around, you get your shit together, shall we say. It's not necessarily something, the impact isn't always, and then my partner got their shit together. Sometimes the impact is, I've had these messages, I've had messages from parents from partners who just reach out and say, I just want to say my wife was in your course. God, she's so much, she's doing so well, and she's got, she's like the old her again, and yada, yada. And the impact that's had on them isn't now I want to go do the same. The impact's like, fucking hell, this is amazing. Yeah. Like maybe a relief or a sense of, God, our life's, has feels so much better for the change. Yeah. And so I've had that off parents. Oh my God, my daughter's been in your community, and the changing has been amazing. I just want to thank you so much. I feel like I've got my daughter back. It's not like, oh, and now I want to go meditate. So I think the impact isn't always now you go and do what I'm doing. Sometimes the impact's just like, it's like, imagine if you saw your son be really, imagine that, like depressed and low and nothing could shake him. And then all of a sudden he turned himself around and got his shit together. You'd be like, oh, I feel so good to see that.
Yeah.
Like, that's the impact, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes. And I don't think anyone ever expected that. Yeah, exactly. And the impact is in many ways.
Yeah. Just the impact of your day sometimes when you get yourself together. I wonder how much better you are to be around. That's not just, don't hear that, you shouldn't hear that and go, oh God, I'm terrible to be around. I'm impacting people. But it's like when you're in a good place, like you are better to be around. For others as well. If you're in a good place and you're happy and you're smiling and you go in a coffee shop, hey, how's it going? I think it impacts other people, doesn't it? It makes that person's
There's
day.
loads of science on this, isn't there, Si? You know this better than me. And, what holds matter together? Energy, yeah? We're ignorant to think that our brain does not transmit and doesn't receive.
Of course it does,
and whether you call that vibration, frequency, energy, whatever. And that's the impact that it has, is that there's a frequency from this and there's a frequency from that. And once the frequency matches, it connects. And that was the problem with me, that I was not connecting with this frequency. And now I connect with that higher self, that higher power, that, hey, wait a minute, people need to be woken up at their very true potential, what they're capable of, whether you want to be the world's best shelf packer, the world's best painter, the world's best entrepreneur. Like, you have a secret desire and an option, and also everything within you to make this happen. But what's the gap? That's where people get stuck.
I always think it's a skill gap.
You know that.
Because people say, no, is it a mindset gap or is it a skill set gap? You're like, no, mindset is a set of skills. It's a set of skills still. Like it is for me. It's a set of...
tried and tested.
Yeah.
Listen, every skill, everything that I've picked up.
But I think you go back to the reason you got so clear is you come away from the noise. Well, and that's the big thing. When we're in the noise, there's too much going on to really tune in. It's when you get out of that noise, you start to sense and you can see the noise.
Yeah. No, you
can see it for what it really is sometimes. Like sometimes when you step away from social, I always say this, but talk to my dad about social media and he just don't get it. It's alien. He just does not get it. And when he sort of says, when he asked me about it, I realised, well, you're right, Dad. This is a real weird fucking thing. This is great in many ways. It's phenomenal. The social media has been worse off for not having you on it.
Well, this is my whole point of being the
however,
biased. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's a front. It's very hard to be real on social media, even if you are real. It's a fun. It's like it's just a big game in a sense, but it's like people think it's real life. It's like, well, not really, is it? I find it quite ironic when people are on my feed, like on a Sunday, going, "Hey, you're a business owner. It's really important you switch off on Sundays and get time out your business to refresh." I've been doing that this morning. You're like, the irony of you telling me that I need to switch off on a Sunday.
Yeah.
On social media in a work capacity is fucking unreal. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so surely if you really said I should be switched, you shouldn't be on here. You should tell me that on a Tuesday. Hey, I'm not on Sunday, so I really refresh and rejuvenate. Yeah. But it's this funny little world.
Want to look good instead of having a good impact.
Well, it's just so. How can you? It's like telling somebody to not be on social media on a Sunday. By being on social media on a Sunday is is like telling people they should eat healthy while stuffing your face with 15 donuts on camera or something.
Well, it's like a personal trainer,
what's going
massively
on?
overweight, saying you shouldn't be eating that shit. You're
Yeah,
looking
it's
going,
like, what's going on there? So there's a lot of irony on social media. I love social media. We impact people on social media. But as the famous saying goes, don't read everything you believe and don't believe everything you read, which is a nice way of saying, don't just read in the things you agree on all the time.
Yeah.
Get the insight, but also don't just fucking believe everything you see.
bang on.
We've been around, and I can look back through my feed and think, well, was I being completely transparent there, or why did I write that post? And I wrote it at the time for a good reason, I'm sure, but sometimes, well, the point I'm trying to make is I'm not sat here going, well, I'm always 100% trying, because I think sometimes you don't realize you're not being true to yourself at the time till after. Do you know what I mean? But the social media is this weird dance of, it feels just like a made up world to me.
And that's why I've not been in no rush, because I think I've had a better impact, or you've seen a lot more progress in areas that needed it, coaching. When I say my own world bias changed and I had to just really question my own bias, that's exactly what I did. I got still enough to weigh myself.
Yeah.
And that takes time sometimes. I was like, where are we going with this? Do I want to go back on? Don't want to go back? Do I really want to be in this game? Am I in it for the right reasons, wrong reasons? All them questions, that's pretty much has been the hold up on getting back on. And now it's like, no, actually, there's that time in the end game, in the Avengers, and the Iron Man gets that, figures out, hey, I've figured out the time machine, we can go back.
Never
and he's saying to his missus, and I've had this conversation, at least when we was actually watching, she looked at me and she just like laughed. Because she's looking at Iron Man, he's like, because he feels bad that he didn't stop whatever happened with, I can't remember the main guy in it, the bad guy, if he was. And obviously in the first film of this, I can't remember, remember the size at the end game or something. But anyway, he gets it wrong, he clicks, he gets all the things, and loads of people, and he can't get over that he's lost all these people knowing that he could have stopped it, or takes on, it was him, it was his fault. So when he figures out he can get the time machine to go back and maybe change that, and he figures it out, you can see that he's like, I could probably change it or make it worse, right?
Got a moral dilemma.
Yeah, and his missus like, yeah, he goes, let's just fucking go to the ocean and drop it to the bottom of it. And she was like, yeah, he could do that.
Well, actually, he didn't want to lose. He said,
I don't want
to lose my family.
Yeah, that's it. And she was like, listen, basically, you'd never be able to live with yourself if you did. And this was a conversation that we had, and I was just like, she'd be like, you wouldn't know what to do yourself. This is where you are at your best. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Shit, I was doing this on the playground when I was a young kid.
Yeah,
and I am not flawless, I've been...
I think you, from the outside, saying stuff like, if this is for me, was just frustration speaking. And we all do that. We all get frustrated and want to take our ball home.
Yeah.
Don't we? My ball, I'm not playing anymore.
But look what
and that's what we do. And how often do we all do that in areas of our life? It's like, they always say never make a decision at your lowest, don't they? So, make a decision at your lowest. Give it a bit more time. I'm a big fan of giving things
So what happened for a couple of weeks, ended up bleeding 8 months?
Well, you needed that to get... We had bigger fish to fry. It's priorities as well, isn't it? But yeah, your mum's dying. So fucking hell, you got more important things to do in your own life than go and rescue 500,000 fucking people on social media with a video. You got stuff in your actual life to get on with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's just priorities. If you looked at time a bit like a Tetris block, you go, well, I've got to fit that in there. That's one of the last blocks, isn't it? Because you're still making an impact. You're still showing up every week in our coaching.
Oh, my head, listen, like life, don't get it twisted, life ain't been so good. And, a little phrase that I always say to Lisa is like, it's great, innit? It's great. It's sometimes you have to you embrace.
What's been the lowest point of the last year?
A lot of... I don't really want to talk about, because I don't really want to paint a picture of someone that isn't really them, but I think it would be, knowing the very thing that someone needed, we had, but that's what they didn't want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And having that frustration, going, fucking hell.
Knowing that you can
have to
help
accept
someone,
it,
but they don't want to help themselves.
You know what I mean? It was just like,
And that's your frustration.
well, I'm going to have to accept
wait
it
there,
all the way through. Yeah,
all the way
Yeah,
through.
yeah. So that's
It's
the
just a
message.
much more
I am only
personal-
willing to play with people who are willing. You know, that teachability thing. You're coming into my realm. You want to move forward. Here's the agreement. You know, whether you do or not, it's completely up to you. But here it is. If you ain't willing to change, if you ain't teachable, if you ain't willing to learn, which really, that lesson come from my son. I look at my son, I'm never like, this kid.
But here's the thing: you still kept showing up for your mum, for example.
I will always.
Exactly, and that's the
Because-
key with people in general. I've been there with work, and it's like you got to want to do this, you got to want to do this, but I'm always going to show up.
So, yeah.
But I'm only going to go this far. It's when we go too far in and go, no, you need to do this, and I want you to do this, that
Yeah.
it becomes a problem
Yeah.
for me. It's when I'm going like, hey, look at this. I'm not ready. Cool. Whatever. And that's why I very rarely do the whole, just from a work point of view, you know, the kind of, ask me anything you want. I'll just turn up every day and answer your questions. You know, like commonly done in stories or Q&As. Like, no. Because I don't do it because that, for me, that's me going in a bit further. Then all of a sudden I'm going to be like trying to help people who are just actually just throwing questions out there.
Yeah.
That's why I'd rather run 5 days where you go, oh, no, come in here. You know, are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
All right, brilliant. If you're in the
You're doing
5
it right.
days, we'll show up, we'll coach. It's free. We'll help you. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. Because you've kind of made that step in because you're ready. You're committed. And when I look at my own time, I'm like, well, my own time is important and precious. I'm not going to sit at home when I could be playing with my son,
Yeah.
answering random questions of somebody who's just throwing them on to me.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm more than happy to go, okay, you've invested some time and I'm in a structured environment. I can help you here.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make, I suppose, is, you know, bringing it back to you, is the lowest point has been, I could help you, but you don't want it.
But it's that. But the knowing, no. You know, it's that knowing of going, if you just,
Yeah.
but this is something you've helped with for a long time. My heart is big, you know.
Yeah, to your own
Sometimes
detriment on
to my own
times.
detriment.
Yeah.
And you remember that time, that situation I was in, and you was like, mate, this is classic overcaring to undercare. And you know me, well, fucking, I'll go to the gates of hell. You're not coming, well, fuck you then. You know, it's one of them. But finding that appropriate level of care, when I can deliver that and teach that and speak about that, the wisdom around this experience now is that I have a greater understanding. And I think people actually can hear it in my tone when I'm like, you know, it's all right saying that's the appropriate level of care and everything's all right, but can you do it in your darkest hour? Can you control what's in your control in your darkest hour?
That's what anything counts.
And that's where the growth has come from. You know, someone you love unconditionally to go, I have to accept that and I'm good with that. And I ain't going to drop my standards, but what I'll do is match the effort. And that now has been the gauge where I'm like, right, now we can be in a coach in what we do. How many people have left and gone, I'm very concerned for them, but we've had to let them go. They wanted to go.
I always had a conversation with a lady this week who'd come to the end of the road with us, and I said, you know, it's great because you fly in the nest in such a fucking brilliant position.
Oh,
Your
it was
business is
intended.
better. The job is done. Yeah. And she's like, I'd love, you know, if I'd love to come back when something new happens, or, you know, great. And I said to her, you know, she's trying to justify why, I was like,
Yeah,
don't justify.
don't
Like,
just-
this is brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you thinking the job's done.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, now and again you look and go, the job ain't done, is it? Like, maybe you give up, or, you know, maybe outside factors have played a part. You know, it's no shame on that individual, but sometimes you had that chat and you're like, that's a shame, innit? We've had it. That's a shame, innit? Could have really done something there.
Yeah, that's a
if they just
damn
gave it a
shame.
bit longer or did something. Overcare, undercare. It's like, I always think of the Wombles theme tune when I talk about that. Overcare, undercare.
Man, you got an elephant, a memory like an elephant. Man, I can't remember that
But
stuff.
I always think it is if I look at a concept that can improve somebody's life drastically, it's, I suppose, is it Mark Manson talks about, you've only got so many fucks to give, give the appropriate level of fucks to things. Yeah, a nice way of saying it. But care should be nourishing. Like, your care for your mum should help.
Yeah, yeah.
If you care about something, you want it to nourish. But care should also nourish the giver of the care. It should feel good for both parties.
Great point. And that's how you find the appropriate level.
yeah, for me, 'cause overcare is when I'm like, now I'm over caring about that and I'm starting to try and control it because I need it to be a certain way. And when I overcare, my identity gets tapped up in it. So it's like, why are you doing this to me, mum? You know, I'm helping you and you're not doing this, whatever it may be. You know, it's, oh, this means this about me. It's like, there's an element of overcare there.
Yeah.
It's not helping them. It's not helping me. But if I can try and scale that back, which is why it's so tough when you love someone.
Yeah.
You're like, is this appropriate level of care bringing you towards me? Is it helping you? Is it nourishing you? Do I feel a bit more comfortable with this? Yeah. A lot of anxiety is overcare.
Big time.
Why are you anxious about that going into town? It's like, well, there's a lot of factors, but a lot of it is, well, fucking hell, I'm making it such a big deal. What if I panic? It's like, I'm really overcaring. I'm applying too much energy. So the ability to apply the appropriate level of care is so important, because you touched upon it, because we undercare. That's the cycle. Oh, come on, I want to help you. I can do this. And why are they not listening? Oh, come on, I'm overcare. Ah, fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Forget it.
Just do what you like. I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
I don't talk to you anyway. You know, and it's like, oh, undercare. It's like health. We go from overcare to undercare, isn't it? Obsessive about the diet.
I mean, one gym session, fuck it.
Fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah. Great point.
It's about this sliding scale of finding the balance. It's relationships. If you, the prime example, if anyone ever questions me on this, say, have you ever been in a relationship where you felt trapped and controlled by another person, even though they loved you to pieces, you know? And a lot of people go, oh God, yeah. So how did it make you feel? It destroyed it. That's overcare in a nutshell. Can you care about somebody too much? Yeah, you can try and control them. And people say, well, that's not love. But you know what I mean? It's that level of, God, I need you to be a certain way for me to be happy, or for you to be happy. I need to make you happy. When you do that to kids, it fucking crucifies them.
No, it really is.
Because again, people go, well, it's the opposite. Just don't fucking care at all. No, care enough.
That's what's going to fucking happen if you don't get it right. Yeah,
care enough. Care enough that you go, God, I care about you so much. I need to allow you to go fucking make that mistake. I know it's not going to hurt you, but I need to allow you to make it because I love you.
Yeah.
And you've made it. Are you going to learn? Oh, he's not learning. He'll make it again. That's...
Can I give you an example on that?
No.
Yeah. When
I'm joking.
Yeah, Kairos was playing for this team, and it was at a high standard. And he won't get in his running time. He's probably worth, you know, he'd earned his right to at least get more time than he was getting. But it's happened to a few kids. And they're fucking shit this, I'm paying all this, and not getting the minutes. And he's like, listen, you're playing at a level, it's not about minutes, it's about ability. You know, you've got to keep going. And if you make the grade, then you're in. And I understood that, even though the whole setup was a load of shite. But who he was playing against was a good level. And that was like, well, we'll keep you in there for the mix. But people start dropping off left, right, centre, overcaring, thinking the next run out, right, fuck it, we're leaving. These kids are doing 7 different teams in a season, yeah? And I got to a point and was like, no, you're going to stick it out, mate. You're going to get on the bench. You're going to find a way to get back on there. You're going to work yourself into that position. It was a beautiful environment for finding the right care of going, do you think this is just plain saying? You think this industry isn't tough and cutthroat? Yeah. This is a great experience.
What would an overcaring parent do then?
Oh man, I just lose the shit.
Yeah.
They're putting an expectation. The kid are on the sideline going nuts. My son should be this. More so from an entitlement, but an undercare was, you don't see my son. You don't see how good he is.
Well,
I'm coming in every week.
How often have we seen the parent absolutely fucking losing their shit, bollocking somebody and going, look, my fucking son, for example, he's upset. He's this. He's like, fuck. I think you're making him upset, mate.
Yeah. Like, that happens all the time.
By behaving like that. I don't think it's the manager. I think you're upset for him and now you're upsetting him.
But you see the thing, innit, the appropriate levels to go, now he's got to go through this. You know, he's entitled just because he's playing well and turning up every week. You know, if that guy doesn't think because he used to come to me going, he's not big enough. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but break it down how it's impacting the game, because your son in midfield, pal, is giving the ball every game. Yeah, so if it's on ability, just break it down for me so I can understand, so I can actually work on that area. I can't make him grow. But this kid's like a wizard, mate. He's all over the show. He's getting fouled. It's part of his game. Just tell me where it's impacting it. To be fair, he just didn't fit the crowd. The point being, though, is that Kairos now, that resilience in that experience of he ain't entitled to get into the he's just going to be on the team sheet every week. He's got to work hard for it. Whereas a couple of weeks back, we turn up, Kyle, as a whistle, turn up, yep, tuck in there, sweet. This woman looks at me and goes, "That your son?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I have never, ever seen a kid take instruction like that from a parent. What's your secret?" I said, "You know what's funny? What's your secret why your kid don't listen to you?" And she just looked at me in amaze and just started laughing. She was like, "You're right." I said, "We just got that working relationship." I said, "What makes it even worse is that my husband's a coach and then forever in the car shouting, screaming at each other. I heard, you know." I was just like, well, obviously it's a topic to finger, but I'm like, well, it's the fact that he trusts my judgment. We've had that working relationship. I'm not just giving him feedback. He give feedback to me. There's times when I'm hard him in, there's times when I'm greeting him, but fundamentally he knows I'm there for his best intention.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't fit what I'm asking him to do, he'd let me know. But this kid's losing the shit. "Don't tell me, you need to shut up." Like, I'm like, "Shit, that is probably something that needs more addressing." The reason why my son's listening to me here, you know?
I can't imagine me ever losing my shit with my dad like that.
Yeah, it'd probably click you around the ear, eh?
Yeah.
That's the other reason he's probably thinking,
You know you got to get back
I'll get in the car with him on the way home. We know what time it is, you know what I mean?
You know you got to get back in the car at the end of the game. All right, Dad?
The point we're trying to make
I
is
used to
it's
get
a
a fucking rundown all the way home. About
yeah,
my
drilling.
game.
Oh,
Just
no, he's had a
rundown.
few of them. But it's from inquiry. Son, what you do great. What could you done better? What would you do differently?
Mine wasn't, the old man.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's had a few of them over time, but I've learnt by it. But the point we're making is that appropriate level of care applies to every part of life, doesn't it? It's not just tough times. I think if you could sum up what I'm saying is, for the past 15 years, we've learnt all this stuff. We've been in the training camp. For the past year, it's gone, go on then. You want an heavyweight title, go fight. And I feel like I come out on top. And for that, I'm a better man for it.
Man, I love it. We'll leave it there, mate. Can't follow up after that. The heavyweight title analogy. Who would you be if you were a heavyweight?
Who would you think it would be? You know me best.
I'm trying to think who has a beard and a... You
Forget the look, like the style.
I'm thinking of look and style. Well, I don't know, you're quite hands up, walk forward, aren't you? Are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm very in the front foot.
Yeah, because you're from your tie, from your kick.
Yeah.
So you a lot of weight on the front foot, is it?
Well, different coaches, innit? Respect to a guy called Frank Yoder's phenomenal fighter, but great coach. He got me into this game, but he was very much like, you just keep walking forward, which was my style. I'd say, I fighted with my face. Then I, trained with people like Karpovic, who was a very technical coach, and was like, you probably want to stop getting it in the face, different angle. So I'll come with different angles, but front foot, art of a lion. If you want to tear it, we'll have it.
I'm trying to think. Do you know what I loved? Vander Holyfield. I loved Vander Holyfield. Because the fucker fought everyone, and he could bang, and he could
bang.
And he was tough, and he could box, and you think, mate, you watch his clips now, you're like, fair play. Like, you had a bit of everything about you. Beat some good people. Then again, Lennox Lewis. Lennox, mate, he beat some... I love Lennox Lewis.
Yeah, but look at like lower divisions, like people like Carl Froch, Kessler.
Of course,
you know what I mean? It's just animals, mate.
Yeah.
Absolute animals.
Froch was
animal.
Tough.
Well, so what I'm saying, you can only be a great fighter if you got a chin.
I think you can only be as good as your opponent.
100%.
I think
well, this is the whole point in having difficult times, right? He gets to sharpen his own...
Yeah, if you look at some of the best people, we go, they were quality. Yeah. They had somebody rise to meet, isn't it? And if anyone's ever questioned anyone, it's like, who've they ever fought, for example?
Yeah.
Who've they ever fought? Oh, but you actually go, well, he's fought everybody.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and he's had people that have like Ben. Remember Ben and Eubank when they were like that was on Channel 4.
I think my style would be more Ben than Eubank.
Oh yeah, Eubank's tough.
No, unbelievably tough. No, but what I'm saying is,
you coming? I know you're really coming forward, and you're not winning on points.
Nigel, I would definitely rate more to Nigel Benn than I would Eubank, but I preferred Eubank's style to Nigel Benn. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though that wouldn't be my style.
Conor Benn's got a hell of a style. The snappiness, I love all that.
Well, you can see Nigel in him, innit? Yeah, you can see his art all always.
But Nigel Benn said recently about Eubank, he said, at the end of the day, blah, 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 blah. But I needed him as much as he needed me.
Yeah, I love that.
Then you think, yeah, you did. You just contrasting characters. You needed each other. If they hadn't had each other in each other's lives,
I
wonder where it would have went. But that's what we're talking about, adversity. You're only as good as the adversity you face sometimes. It brings out, I think adversity always brings out, true adversity brings out a lot in people.
I think the past 3 years has really exposed that for many people and gone, if you actually said what unfolded, forget my views on it, what unfolded, would you be able to deal with that? I think most people have gone, hell no. But the reality that we did,
yeah,
people have to take real light of that and go, reflect and go, man, I got through that.
thing I didn't agree with in COVID was people saying this is causing mental health issues. I'd be like, I don't think it's causing it. I think it's highlighting it. I think all of a sudden when you're locked in your house, if you were happy, like COVID didn't really impact me mentally, if that makes sense. It did in the sense of all the things that were going on around, but actually to be in my own house, if you know what I mean, like
Oh, big time. I think.
I get other people were on their own, isolated, etc.,
Yeah,
etc.
different
But that then
circumstances.
would highlight a problem. There, you
Yeah.
think, oh fuck, you ain't got much connection, or
Yeah,
and
yeah,
of course some people are going through grief, entirely different thing.
yeah. No, I get it.
But if you take grief out of it and different things like that, it's like, it was highlighted for a lot of people. It just highlighted an issue that day-to-day life masked a little bit, I think. And I
Yes.
think our members have backed that up when you hear them talk. They're like, actually, COVID was a sign where I went, fuck, I need to do something about all this.
Yeah,
And they did.
yeah, big
You know, a
time.
lot of people came through then going, oh, I need to do something. It was like, shit, I need to do something.
Yeah, especially when the biggest leading cause of people underlying health issues. And I'm not taking it away for the devastation that it brought, but I think the solution was far more bigger than the problem itself. And that's where I'm like, nah, no, I ain't fucking standing for that one bit. You know, am I blaming them for the situation? 100%, not at all. Do we all have responsibility and accountability and all that? Yes, we do. Did things get a lot worse when people just use that time to just disrespect themselves and not take responsibility for the well-being? 100%. Look at the rate in that 3-year period. People's health went fucking skyrocketing out of shape. And it's like, really? You know, at a time where, you know, there's an immediate threat, you decided to do the complete opposite. Well, that's on you. And that's the shameful part.
Not
mate.
everyone though. A lot of people would have really. I think a lot.
No,
I
I'm
was
just
talking to a
addressing that
bloke
you
who
also
come-
need to address that as
Yeah.
well. You know, address the side that people adjusted, adapted, and overcome. So, you know,
I think a lot of people. A chap who cleaned my floor came in because I had to have them properly cleaned. He was saying how he COVID come, and I thought, oh, why am I doing so much of this? Why don't I do so much
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that? And, you know, a lot of people. Although now, you feel a lot of places like, hey, you got to get back to work. Yeah, some places still
Slow
like,
it down, innit?
hey, like, come on, like, shit, you got to get back to work.
yeah.
We need our people here. You can't,
Yeah,
you
they
can't
slowed
all
it
be at
down,
home
eh?
and doing, you know, certain hours a week. But yeah.
Now you bang on. You got still enough to value life again, innit? Things slow down at a good pace. You know, a lot of great things come out of COVID, I would say, as well. I mean, I think the sense of awareness from people has been great than ever before. I think people have realised took a lot for advantage, you know. And, you know, for me, as tough as the experience it was a great experience. I think my kids will look back on that and go, that was some good times. You know, we did our best. Great opportunities come our way. Remember, businesses got flatlined for me. Most of my businesses got wiped out. I was like, listen, if they're that weak that they can't withstand that type of wind, mate, we need to build stronger foundations. It then brought me and you together, didn't it? Coming out the back end of that. I got, you know, an opportunity to get 7 figures on the table. I turned that shit down. It didn't feel congruent. You know, there's all them things that, when I look back now, my family, me, we never felt as connected as we have right now. The belief that you know, I've not just been an hypocrite.
Adversity bonds people as well, doesn't
Big
it?
time. But you've also got to lead by it. You can't just be on the fence pointing all the advice. Take everything away. If my kids, when they realise how the dad showed up in that time, you know, they are the lessons that opportunity presented. And when it actually sinks in for them, they'll be like, Jesus. Fair play. And that's what I'm advocating, you know, whether it's on this side or that side. I'm like, if you want to be the biggest, baddest motherfucker on the planet, let no one stand in the way of that. If you want to be the kindest, most, you know, compassionate, don't let anything stand in the way. But what you don't do is let people deter you away from that.
Yeah, well, don't let people decide for you.
And I think now's the time for that, Si, you know.
I love it. Cool. Well, just so you know, you've been on social media for fucking months now.
I know. I keep getting messed like, here he is, he's back. And no. We're not resurrected yet, you know.
You've been on there for months, just in
Yeah.
these videos.
So we've gone from shitty little lives to this quality.
So I can't wait back.
Look at
Can't
the
wait to
quality.
get back on
Yeah.
social media. It's like, Mark, he's been on social media for like a month.
No,
Yeah.
fair play to Mark. That was to wrap it up. It was that not been on social media for ages. See a family member. He goes, man, I see you on that podcast. It looked brilliant. Not even what we're saying. It's like, go from shitty little lives in your car in the field to looking, you know.
Hey, there you are. I get a picture of us right now, live on camera. There he is. Look at that. Just realised I got my hat on, Monkey. I got my hat on, Monkey.
I know, I didn't want to say nothing.
Fucking hell, Mark, what do you do? Surely you should just say something. Yeah. Oh, I can't have that. There we are. Ben, get in here, because I need... Mark, you getting in here. We laid you in here. We're live, aren't we, on camera? Yeah.
We're going to have to put this picture in the description so everyone can be like, what's that picture? How did he look?
Oh, I love it. What's the time? Time we wrapped up. Right, thanks, Benny.
Oh,
it's
my
10
pleasure.
to 7.
We got to roll, man. Peace.